Two. Okay, so this is segment 2. We are now going to hear from some government agencies. I want to introduce myself. I think some of you know me, not everyone. My name is Rob Buchanan. I'm the New York co-chair of the Citizens Advisory Committee to the Harbor and Estuary Program. I'm also one of the organizers of the New York City Water Trail Association and River Project Citizens Water Quality Monitoring Project. So I just want to take a couple of minutes to talk about how that program came to be, because I think it relates directly to the topic of this session. So really this goes back to 2 summers ago when there was a fire at the North River Treatment Plant in Harlem. And because we work with a lot of boating groups, there was initially a lot of confusion about how much sewage was being released and where it was being released. And we didn't know what was going on for the first day. We knew more at the end of the first day, but really it took quite a while to understand what had happened. How much sewage had been released, where it was released. We had assumed initially that because there was a fire at the plant, all of the sewage that was bypassing the plant was bypassing at the plant. But that wasn't the case. There were numerous release points, and that actually corresponded with some of the reports that we got from people from that day saying, you know, I was down in the village, I was 10 miles away from the plant, but there was this really terrible smell at the place where we were rowing, or at the place where we were kayaking, and we thought maybe we should get out of the water, but we didn't know what was going on. So really it was that event and the confusion that came from that event that spurred us to start the program. And one of our first reactions was, well, what is the government doing to monitor water quality? How does their modeling of how the system works, how does that work? And what can we understand as citizens? And it was really hard for us to get a clear understanding. So we use that as the impetus to start our program. And I think most of you know about it, but if not, speak to me and I'll direct you to the site. We've got 30 sites up this season, 20-week season, and we think it's a very understandable and accessible thing, and so a good thing. We're measuring sewage indicating bacteria. Same thing that the Department of Health uses at the bathing beaches, and we think it's a useful thing. But there's a lot more information out there. It turns out, we initially didn't have this impression, but it turns out the government actually does, the various arms of our government do know a lot and are doing a lot, and there's a lot of information there as well. So this session is to hear from representatives from New Jersey and from New York, and also from the federal government. How does their monitoring work? How does their modeling work? How do their notification systems work? What changes or modifications do they have in mind to those things? And then we're also going to hear from the EPA a little bit about the new recreational water standards that they have. Right now, if you look at our page, we use swimming standards, even though we're a group mainly interested in boaters. We use the swimming standards, which I think are maybe even last year's standards. But that's a system that has been used for a while and everybody understands. So we'll hear about what changes may be coming, and have to decide whether we want to change our own system or stick with what we've got. We don't know yet. Okay, with that said, let me introduce our first speaker. He's from the New Jersey DEP. His name is, and I'll just read you one sentence from the bio, Bill Heddendorf. He's an environmental specialist at the Bureau of Marine Water Monitoring, and that's in Leeds Point, New Jersey, where he is responsible for all laboratory operations. Bill?
Thank you.
And there's your clicker device.
My clicker device, hopefully this thing works. Can everybody hear me? I'm pretty loud, I don't think I really need this. I put together this presentation and been talking about. So I'll just tell you a couple of quick things about that. And if you've ever been out on a stormwater study, they're always at 4 o'clock in the morning. I don't know why, but every time it rains, between 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning. So, you know, if you go around and ask people if they're going to use the bathroom at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, they're pretty much going to say, no, you know what, I'll let it settle. But anyway, we've had a bunch of stormwater studies, some of them kind of productive, other ones not so much. The latest one that we did, and it's still ongoing, is a stormwater study we did in Red Pond, in Spring Lake in Seagirt, New Jersey. We've had 4 beaches north and south of the outfall of this pond that get closed after every rainstorm over a tenth of an inch of rain. So we developed this study and we went around, started in 06. And in 06, after the 3rd study that we did, I went and I told the municipalities, listen, this and this are your 2 sources. So they, you know, oh no, everything's fine, our stormwater system's fine, everything's fine. Squeaky clean was the word that they used all the time. So after, you know, fight with them, it comes out just this week. Hey, you know what? We have a problem on this line. There's 3 loud connections that are busted, and the sewer lines, the sewer's in the stormwater drain, and that's what's affecting the pond. So after 7 years, they finally actually, you know, the municipalities actually did something. So now hopefully we can get that corrected and maybe we can open those beaches. But that's that. So let's go on here. We do a lot of monitoring in New Jersey, all the way up and down the coast. We do, the one main thing that we do is our shellfish classification chart. Basically, we have 5 or 6 captains that go out every single day, through the winter, rain, snow, as long as they can launch their boats, they're out there collecting water every day. So we use that data to do our shellfish classification charts data. And those are printed out and given with every clamming license for everybody that, you know, gets a clamming license in New Jersey. We also have bathing beaches, and we use our county health departments to help us out a lot with that. They go out every Monday and they collect a sample, and then they test it, and Tuesday they get the results. And as long as everything's good, those beaches are open for the week. And then we also have algal monitoring. We have an extensive algal monitoring network. I did a presentation that was an hour and a half just on our algal monitoring network a couple of months ago, and I was told I was only allowed 10 to 15 minutes, so I'm not going to get into that too much. So, our National Shellfish Sanitation Program, say that 4 times real fast, is 2,500 monitoring locations. Can't really see it so much. But all these red dots in here, it's pretty much all red. We cover the whole coast of New Jersey, and we sample every location 5 to 12 times a year for fecal coliform bacteria, totaling approximately 15,000 samples a year. And then we give all the data to our GIS people, and then there's shellfish classification charts that basically tell you, you know, you can harvest this area at this time. There's some prohibited, which you're not allowed at all. There's seasonal, which you're not allowed to harvest clams or oysters in the summertime. And then there's open. And then like Raritan Bay is kind of special restricted because they have to go to deprivation and so on and so forth. Let's see. So what we're actually in the works of doing right now is every single one of these locations is a sample. And every single one that comes in, we analyze it, we get a result. And what we're working on now is an interactive map. So you can go to our website and actually go onto this interactive map and actually pick any station that you want. And it'll give you the results of the last time it was sampled, I think. Maybe more data, maybe less, I'm not really sure. We're still working out all the details right now. But I think that'll be a great tool because you can, you know, people, the public, can go in and say they're going through the Raritan Bay, they want to swim in the Raritan Bay that day. They can go and look and see what the last, you know, results are from within that week or whatever to see the water quality of, the area that they're going to be in. That's still in works right now. Hopefully by the end of the year we'll have it up and running and on our website. So we also have an ambient monitoring program that is, we have 86 stations. It used to be 260 stations that we sampled every quarter. We changed it to 86 stations sampled once a month. And we have 43 in the Bay and River and 43 in the ocean. These are, they're analyzing for nutrients like ammonia, nitrate, phosphate, total phosphorus, total nitrogen, total organic carbon, and biogenic silica, which we just added not too long ago. Total suspended solids, chlorophyll A, we do a total chlorophyll A, and then we have a high chlorophyll A, which chlorophyll A is a pigment in algae that you can detect. So if you do that as an overall analysis, then you can see higher levels for like algal blooms and stuff like that. And when we get higher levels, then I'll take a look at it under the microscope and identify if they're toxic species or anything like that. We also do dissolved oxygen, salinity, temperature, pH, and Secchi. Secchi's, I don't know if everybody knows what Secchi is, but it's kind of like another way of doing turbidity. It tells you how clear the water is. And for bathing beaches, we just do it in the summer season, Memorial Day to Labor Day. Samples are collected and analyzed by the county health department. Every Monday, they're posted to the web, which I was going to go through on the website, but there's no internet here, so I just took screen pictures. Here's our website. And right on it, it says somewhere around there, results of the New Jersey Ocean Beaches, which leads you to the next page, which is newjerseybeaches.org. This is a pretty good website. I like it for, it's pretty easy to use, but anyway, it's pretty easy to use. You can go in and you can get, on the front page, it'll have like today's report, for the whole New Jersey coast, pretty much. And it just says everything looks good, there's no beaches closed, or it'll say this beach is closed, that beach is closed, you can't go there. So then if you go to, I believe it's the data, current conditions, and then it kind of breaks it down to your different counties. So you go in and you pick your county, and then it gives you something like this. And it gives you all the beaches in that county, and then it gives you all the results of Enterococcus that were taken that week on Monday. So Enterococcus is the bathing beach standard that we use as long as it doesn't exceed 1 of 4 colony forming units per 100 milliliters, then that beach is open and safe to swim. So let's see, what do we got next? Okay, we also do a lot of monitoring for chlorophyll, like I said before. We actually have an aircraft that we use. We use the Forest Fire Service aircraft. We do flights from March. They're weekly from March through May, and then for, I guess it would be Memorial Day to Labor Day, we fly every day except for Wednesday, which is a maintenance day for the flights. There's a long flight and a short flight. The long flight, we actually go up into the Hudson River and to the George Washington Bridge, and then down and over the Verrazano, not under the Verrazano. Here's our aircraft. It's just a little single engine Cessna Stationair 206. It's pretty neat. In the back, we have a computer that's attached to a sensor and a GPS. And what happens is, as we do the flyover, we can detect chlorophyll levels in the water. It's actually really neat because you get to sit right beside the pilot when he flies, and they do the flight every day and every day and every day. So eventually they get bored and they say, "Hey, do you want to fly?" Which is actually pretty cool. The one pilot told me, "Hey, do you want to land today?" I said, "Nope, that's for you." So anyway, here's a map of what we see. It basically gives you your chlorophyll levels, and as you can see, there's a intense algal bloom going on here in Brereton Bay right now, and it was most intense in Keyport Harbor. And I think this is a great example of being able to see what's going on before it actually happens. And this marked the first time that we've ever been able to tell the public what happened when it comes to fish kills.
When was that?
This was 11, June 10, I don't remember, it was either 10 or 11. So we saw this huge, algal bloom going on, and went out and got some samples. It turned out to be a non-toxic dinoflagellate, just in really, really, really high concentrations. So 3 days later, we have a report of a fish kill. And typically in the past, when we're trying to figure out what happened to a fish kill, you go out there the day after, you can't figure anything out. DO levels are back to normal. There's no algae there anymore. The storm came through, something happened. So this was actually, we'd been monitoring this algal bloom, and it started dying off, and we had a YSI meter in there that detected dissolved oxygen levels, and we figured out that the DO levels dropped so low that it ended up killing a bunch of menhaden or peanut bunker. There's 4 species that I monitor for harmful algal blooms, and they all have to do with shellfish poisoning. You have Alexandrium, which is north of us. Actually, it might be in Long Island, so I don't know. There's Pseudonichu, which is ammonitiate. There's Dinophysis, which is diuretic shellfish poisoning, and Perennium breve, which is south of us, and hopefully we don't have to worry about that either. So these are basically just algal species that I look for. If I see them in the water when we're doing, response to the flight or anything like that, then we have to shut down that shell fishery. I think that's going to be about it. Questions, if you have them, someone who...
Yeah, we'll run through them at the end.
So we'll run through them at the end. And for anybody that wants it, here's our website that I showed you at the beginning.
BMW again stands for?
Bureau of Marine Water Monitoring.
Great.